Skye Squad, we are back in the building, and we are here to talk about Real Housewives of Potomac Season 7, Episode 3. It's called Stand in Your Truth. But who exactly is standing in their truth and who is lying? Today, we will determine, okay? Today, we will determine, or at least you will, okay? Listen, Skye Squad, we are back in the building with another review. Currently, this is a pre-record because your boy had to work today and I got a ton of meetings and we got some things to do. But nevertheless, never fear, and nevertheless, we still gonna get y'all this content today. We still gonna talk about this Potomac. We still gonna talk about this Married to Medicine. That's gonna be coming up shortly, best believe, okay? And then we're also going to be, as scheduled right now, on Dr. Heavenly's YouTube channel at 7 p.m. tonight to discuss the Married to Medicine reunion. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So it's a busy day, okay? Now, with that being said, listen, let's talk about this episode. Baby, let's rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. And if I could rate it a 50, I would, okay? If I could rate it a 50, I would. And since I make the rules about this rating system, we gonna give it a 50, okay? 50, our first 50, baby. Our first 50. This episode was only an hour, but it was way more chaotic than the last two episodes combined. And that's saying something, okay? I have never seen an episode of Housewives so chaotic and so nuanced that I think it took me almost 2 hours to watch this episode because I had to keep pausing and writing things down, and the devil was in the details with so many little things. So I got pages upon pages upon pages of notes. So I hope that we are able to really get through it all before the camera stops, all right? Now, with that being said, let's dive right on in. And then let me know what you thought of this episode because I want to know what y'all thought. This was like filled to the brim. Not one scene just about was wasted, all right? Not one scene, not 1 minute, not one iota was wasted. And baby, let me tell you something. These Potomac producers, baby, they are working overtime. Can we just hand clap of praise for the producers, okay? Hand clap of praise. I ain't never seen a production team work this hard, okay? Producers said, hello, hi, clocking in, here I am, okay? So first things first, speaking of producers, let's go ahead and dive right in. So we get Candiace, we get her talking to Eric, the producer, out in the hallway, right? So Eric is like, well, you know, Candiace, why are you approaching me about this whole situation? I do not control what you guys say or do, and I don't control, you know, what you say or do. Meaning, I can't control Giselle, and I can't control you. So then Candiace then starts to go off about Michael Darby and all the booty grabbing that he's done allegedly, okay? Did we see the booty grab? I mean, I think we did, so I don't really think I have to say alleged, but you know these people is litigious these days, so let me go ahead and put the badge up here, okay? But she says that Michael Darby is available for this, not her husband. My mind went to automatically, why in this moment, I'm going to tell you what I was thinking. Why did she automatically go to Michael Darby? Is the inference here supposed to be that it is production that is in charge of targeting or driving the story or determining who's going to be the target? I didn't understand it, but she elaborates, so I think I might be clued in. So Giselle is somewhere, you know, packing up her bags, acting like nothing happened. Okay, Candiace I think Candiace had a stomach ache, girl. I think that's what. I don't know why she in the back yelling at Eric. Okay, and I'm thinking to myself, y'all can't hear her yelling in the background. Do you even need to ask what's going on, Ashley? Because can't you hear her? Or maybe the building is just that big. That's what I was wondering. Like, why can't you hear her screaming back in the background? Because she was definitely going off. I mean. And then at one point in time, you can hear her yell, Candiace is fine. Candiace is fine. So I'm thinking to myself, Ashley, if Candiace can't hear you, why can't you hear her? Okay? That didn't make no sense to me. Again, the devil was in the details, right? So Giselle says, oh, she's just talking. She's just talking. I think she's okay. So then Candace says, these guys, I don't know who she's referring to. She says, these guys have apologized for Michael Darby over and over and over and over again. Is she talking about production, Bravo, the network? Who? Okay. And then she says, you know, and as she's talking about this, we get all these headlines of Michael Darby in the past and whatnot. So Candace says, if he wanted to right now, if he walked in the door, they would all be hugging him and offer him tea and crumpets. And then we get a flashback of Giselle hugging Michael. I assume what she's trying to say is, the inference is that he can do whatever it is. He's welcome back to the network. And you guys and all the ladies that had all these things to say about him will embrace him with open arms. But for her husband, all of a sudden, he's been like just a gentleman. And now all of a sudden, he's a menace to society because she said so? Help me understand. So when she says, help me understand, in my notes, I wrote, well, Candace, let me explain it to you in case you don't seem to understand. Initially, Juan was the target way back in the day, but that happened before you got there. So I'm going to give you some grace on that one. Then 2 years ago, it was Chris Samuels. Everybody seemed fine with that. Then last year, it was Eddie. People started to notice a pattern. Well, maybe it seems like this one particular cast member takes aim at the husbands of some of the wives. Is that what happens? So we said it last season, Candace, that this season it was going to be Chris. And what do you know? Chris is now the subject of conversation of a controversy. I don't know why, and Candace even admits to it. She let her guard down with Giselle. This is the thing, guys, like, listen to this. Number one, we're going to address Giselle and the nuance and the complications of her statements. But separately, if you feel like you see a pattern amongst or with a certain type of a certain person doing the same thing year after year, okay, at a certain point, you got to think to yourself, it doesn't matter that I stay in their good graces, because not even ROBYN is safe, okay? ROBYN's husband, fiance, partner, baby daddy, friend, lover, whatever they are, okay? Even he's not safe from her spilling the tea that he's not on the home. Okay, his name ain't on the home. So anyway, I don't know why she thought that she too would be absolved from ever having to deal with this issue. But she learned today, okay? And it's unfortunate because I believe that Chris Bassett had no ill intent, okay? But we're going to get to that shortly, all right? So anyway, Eric, the producer, says, well, I'm sure you've all said something about each other. Candace says, yes, I've said things that are true. And don't cut out none of my fourth wall, none of it. I want it all in there. And she takes her Christian Dior bag and she storms off, because what she says is she's not going to give neck or ankles the rat-tat-tat-tat Candace that she probably deserves in this moment. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know why she ran to Eric. In my opinion, I feel like you need to deal with the woman that's in front of you. But I believe, and I could be wrong, maybe Candace was so caught off guard with the complexity of the situation that I don't know if she knew how to react to Giselle in that moment. But I don't know. I could be wrong. So moving on, there's more chaos to run amok, okay? Wendy in the back room with the rest of the gals, Wendy mentions talking to Ashley about opening a restaurant. Charisse warns girl, you got to live in that restaurant, but Wendy is only, she's like, I'm only going to be 20% owner, so I ain't got to live there. Okay. This is just another thing I'm going to add to my resume. All right. And so Sharice is like, well, who going to be 80% owner? Peter Thomas. Oh, okay. Is you going to the grand opening? Wendy is booked, so she can't go. But, you know, I mean, Sharice knows the people. Okay. Cha-Cha know the people. Mm-hmm. According to Robyn, she's the grand dame of things, and so I'm sure she'll be there. Anyway, Ashley says, well, what if your relationship with Eddie starts to suffer because of this? And you know, Ashley would know because she's had a restaurant before, and we saw how that worked out. Anyway, Wendy says she ain't told Eddie yet, but he has told her he don't want her to do nothing else until she learns how to manage what's currently on her plate. Wendy, this is where I identify with Wendy, Dr. Wendy Osefo. I want to always give her that credit because I feel like that's something to be acknowledged. But I have the same issue, Wendy. Sometimes if I wish I could show y'all, I'm not going to get up off the screen to show y'all my vision list board, but it's too filled with things. Okay. And my problem that I have learned is that I take on so much that I burn myself out very, very easily throughout the week. And I am trying to learn how to slow down. So, Wendy, I feel you on this. But, baby, to me, I'm not mad at the restaurant investment because if you got the coin, throw the coin at the man if you trust him. Okay. And let your investment grow. If you ain't really got to be there to do the management and the day-to-day, then we can look at this as an investment opportunity. Then I feel like this is not necessarily something that's got to be so much falling on your shoulders because this man has set up restaurantes and things before. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not mad at the Nigerian themed lounge idea because I think it could be popping. Okay. Meanwhile, Giselle asked Mia, girl, why didn't you respond to my text message? I was trying to apologize to you. I really like you and wants to make amends for the other day for being a mess and saying, is this how cancer looks? Is this what cancer? Are you wearing cancer today? Okay. Is that what brand of cancer is this? Okay. And so at this point, Robyn is like, y'all gonna do that somewhere else. This is a little awkward. We got other things I gotta take care of today. Okay. So Giselle takes a tray of cupcakes, okay, because a girl got to eat. And Wendy's like, well, why did they go? Ashley's like, well, Giselle is taking the brunt of all of us questioning Mia's post about, you know, I don't even like saying the word, to be honest with y'all. Anyway, Wendy is like, well, you know, I said I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. Okay, I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. You know, when I saw this scene, I said, yes, Wendy. Yes, Dr. Wendy. You see, at least that's what you do. You at least give the person the benefit of the doubt. Okay. I was screaming. I said, yes, Wendy. Finally, somebody got a little bit of compassion. Okay, a little bit of compassion for a sister. Okay. And so then she says, because her friend, unfortunately, you know, and you know, many blessings to the family of the friend that she lost from that had passed from cancer. But then Wendy says, however, if it wasn't true, it would have just been something for her to kind of clear up. So Robyn feels like she is going through something, but to not tell them the results because it's been a week, and not to tell us the result, it was misleading. You ain't got to tell nobody your results, okay? That's between Mia and her doctor. True. If you put it on social media, we're going to ask questions about it, period. However, this woman does not owe you, okay, a full-on doctor's report, okay? If you want to know, call her up and ask her. That seems like it would make the most sense to me. Mia, girl, I saw your post. What's your thing? What's going on? Which she will do coming up, okay? Robyn was working this episode. Let me tell you something. I ain't ever seen so much Robyn in one episode, but let me tell you, sister was driving in this episode. She was in the driver's seat. I said, now Robyn, all this you're on point with today. Some of it, okay? Some of it. So anyway, Giselle, in the other room, in the bike room, admits that none of this was her business, and Mia said it hurt her, and she expected all this from Miss New Booty Wendy, but not Giselle. Why? Have you not watched this show? Anyway, back in the room, Wendy says, "Well, some things have happened recently that did make her question some things about Mia, but she does not elaborate." Okay, that's our first clue that she don't trust Mia. Anyway, ROBYN says, "So why were you trying to put it all on ROBYN and Giselle?" I mean, ROBYN at this point is speaking about herself in third person. So Wendy says, "I didn't even say your name." ROBYN says, "You don't have to say my name for you to indicate what did you two say." And ROBYN is like getting real kind of buck. I'm like, oh, this is that ROBYN I remember. This is that ROBYN I remember running up into Ashley's kangaroo, not the kangaroo restaurant, Lord, the Australian restaurant. And then this is the ROBYN I remember with the umbrella, Ella, okay, from years ago. All right. And so ROBYN is like, "You don't have to say a name." Okay. Oh, I already said that part. But anyway, Wendy says, "Well, where is this aggression coming from?" And ROBYN is like, "Well, we all shared the same sentiment." Wendy says, "We didn't. You called her a liar." Okay. So as Sharice is trying to break up this whole situation, Wendy says when she saw Mia at the spring fling, she embraced her and said, "Girl, are you okay?" And the energy y'all met Mia with was a lot different. Now, that is definitely true. Just social graces and etiquette would say you don't run up to a person and say, "Girl, is this what cancer looks like? Are you wearing cancer on your feet? Are those Christian cancer tons?" I mean, nobody is saying that. And even ROBYN at the time was like, while she's chastising Giselle, she's like, "But your post seemed misleading because we don't believe you, girl." Something to that effect. So anyway, ROBYN says, "Well, but by the way, these two scenes are happening simultaneously with Giselle and Mia and ROBYN and Wendy. The editing was so on point, but as a reviewer, I was like, y'all couldn't just give us one scene at a time, okay? Because this be hard to recap. Okay, anyway. So just as Wendy is saying, the energy y'all met Mia with was a lot different. Giselle is also explaining that her delivery to Mia was horrible. Mia says, "Just bring your issues to me in the future." And Giselle says she's sorry. Mia accepts. They hug it out and move on. Okay. ROBYN, meanwhile, it's funny. Mia and Giselle have made up, but ROBYN and Wendy are still going at it. Okay. ROBYN explains that she asked Mia if she was okay, then dove into her credibility being shot and her message being confusing. And then in my mind, I'm like, I cannot believe we are arguing about somebody's cancer diagnosis. But anyway, ROBYN says she at this point in time, she is going on about Wendy pointing out that ROBYN and Giselle were the only two asking questions or had doubts about Mia. I think, to me, I wrote in my notes, to me, the issue is that ROBYN and Giselle are really the only two that bum rushed Mia at the spring fling. And ROBYN has yet to really apologize for that. Okay. So anyway, Wendy says, "Girl, you called her a liar." "I never called her a liar. Stand in your truth." So that as they going back and forth, ROBYN gets up out of her seat like she about to do something. So I believe it might have been Sharice putting her hand right there to slow her down. And Wendy's sitting there like, "Let me tell you something. Baltimore City, wherever you from, ain't got ish on me. So you might want to sit down. Okay? Sit down. Sit." And what does ROBYN do? That girl sits on down. She sat on down. Yes, she did. Because I felt like she was in the moment and passionate at that moment. But I also felt like she recognized she was not going to try Wendy in that way. Okay. That's my firm belief. I believe she might not be afraid of Wendy, but I feel like she might know that might be a battle she might not win. Okay. Period. All right. So anyway, Giselle and Mia are back, and they're like, "Why y'all fighting? I mean, what's going on?" Ashley asked if Mia feels better. She says she does. Ashley then asked if the doctor ruled out cancer. Mind you, this is the first 20. This is not even like I don't even think this is the first 15 minutes of the show. Okay. Mind you, all of this is going on, right? And I'm like, how, what, what in the chaos and confusion? Meanwhile, okay, um, Mia says he ruled out cancer. She does have some lumps and some lymph nodes and has to have them surgically removed. And she says they're gonna wait and she's gonna do it in August. Okay. Please, Mia, as soon as you get your surgery set, I need you to call ROBYN and tell her every little update so she will know what you got going on the schedule, what the outcome was. Tell about your follow-ups. Actually, you might want to ask her if she wants to be in the surgery room when you get it done. Okay. Yeah, that way ROBYN will know and have no more questions about whatever is going on inside your body. Okay. Meanwhile, ROBYN is still hyped up, wanting to know. She says, I want to know you better. I want to know you better. Okay. But I wonder if sometimes I'm always getting the truth from you. And I'm like, at least she honest. Okay. Mia says, well, that's fair. And then ROBYN says, well, I want to get the boys together since the kids are on spring break. In fact, Giselle, invite your girls. In fact, Ashley, invite your boys. That's all. So Charisse has to point out that Wendy's kids were not invited. And Wendy feels like kids is where she draws the line. And I'm like, what line? I mean, she just didn't invite your kids. She didn't say nothing bad about them. Anyway, she feels like it's a character flaw if people purposely don't invite her kids. ROBYN says, I don't care. You call me a horrible person, so whatever. I don't even want you in my life. ROBYN's still mad about that thing from last year. Wendy had read her down for filth, and ROBYN is not letting it go. Anyway, Ashley wants to know, why did Candace leave early? So Giselle lies and said her stomach was hurting. When I tell you this episode has so many lies in it, I lost count. But if you can count how many lies you heard and spotted, let me know in the chat. Anyway, Wendy then hugs Mia and says, girl, I'm glad you're okay. Hugs Ashley and then gets stopped by a producer who asks, hey, Zen-Wen, so how are you with Mia? Zen-Wen says, well, this is a hot mic moment, by the way. Wendy says, well, I'm outside of me and Karen, I'm probably the only person who's trying to give her a chance. But, she's lying, so who cares? We all know she's lying. Oh, Wendy girl. So then the producers run it back because this point was really driven home by Wendy in the episode, that Wendy says that ROBYN is the one who called her a liar and she never called her a liar. So at this point, now Wendy is saying she's lying. Okay? She's lying. Now, I can't call Wendy a liar per se in this instance because of the wordplay. At that point, she may not have called Mia a liar, but you didn't believe her. Okay? So is Wendy lying, or is she actually maybe just being hypocritical, or what? Fact of the matter is, though, she got caught with a hot mic admitting that she too did not believe Mia. So why are they even arguing? Because at that point, ROBYN was correct. Okay, I mean, she was right. ROBYN was Super Sleuth, Inspector Gadget, part of the trying to cover things up. I mean, we're gonna get to that though. I mean, mind you, again, this is all in the first 15 minutes. So anyway, then we hear Wendy say, oh, I'm still mic'd. Oops. Meanwhile, 3 hours after dance class, Candace is at home. She's working on her egg retrieval process. She got to stick herself in the stomach. I'm like, oh my God. And she's upset that now she has to deal with Giselle's accusations. And she realizes that she got too comfortable with Giselle. And in my notes, I wrote, we tried to warn you a long time ago. Okay? We tried to warn you a long time ago. Bottom line, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. Giselle don't care. I don't think them girls cared nothing about Candiace. I don't think them girls cared nothing about Monique. I don't think them girls now, okay? And when I say them girls, I'm talking really mostly about probably Giselle. But Giselle has influence over several of the other castmates, I feel like. So sometimes you got to include them and sometimes not. I just kind of always feel like a lot of these women are trying or are seeking Giselle's approval in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know why. It's like, why wouldn't Candiace go slam off on Giselle? Okay. But she goes off on Eric, the producer. That's the energy should be directed at Giselle, in my opinion. But again, the situation is complex, and we're going to talk about it. Stay tuned. So Karen and Ray are getting manis and petties. Basically, this conversation is about, it's a small snippet of a conversation about Karen being allowed to look at other men because, that's what their agreement was. Because Ray knows she's an attractive woman and other men are going to look at her. She's going to look at other men. And Ray says, it's fine if you look, but don't touch, okay? Leave it at candy, and that's all it is. Eye candy, okay? Oh, Lord, this scene with Ashley. Now this was complex, okay? This was a complex scene. Ashley is going to look for a heist with her brother. She's put in 3 offers. They've all been taken because of cash offers, so she missed out on 3 houses. Apparently, Michael contracts this particular realtor, and he doesn't think it's a smart idea to do a cash offer. But Ashley can't articulate why, except to mention that there's a refinancing something or other issue. This house is $1.5 million. Depending on the interest rate at that point in time, we could probably expect between a $7 to $9 or $10,000 per month payment per se, just depending on the circumstances. Okay, because I know if you go up to $2 million, that could be about $12,000. These are just slight mental calculations that I'm doing in my mind that are not correct per se, but I'm just doing some estimations and some guesstimations in my mind. So apparently Michael told Ashley that buying a house was contingent on their marital status with the lender. But in my mind, that only makes sense if they're buying a home as a married couple and not under an LLC, which she previously stated. So then Ashley is now surprised that the realtor is telling her that the lender said that everything was already taken care of despite whatever their marital status was. So production then asks her what she thinks about all of this now that she and now she feels like she's looking at Michael and with a side eye. But if you notice, we have not seen Michael at all this season, and I wonder if we actually will. Okay. The producer says, does it make you feel a type of way that he's already lying to you out the gate with this separation about the finances? Ashley says, well, when I think about it, it upsets me, but I can't let it bog me down. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, Ashley, you might just do better buying yourself your own home that maybe is a bit smaller, one that you can afford on your own with whatever you get from the divorce, because this is sounding like some type of trickery. And I don't think you really fully know what you're getting yourself into. And even if you do, it's not something that you can actively articulate for the cameras, for production, and for the audience. This is sounding very tricky. You need to hire yourself a lawyer, protect yourself, protect whatever your assets are leaving this situation, and protect whatever you hope to gain from this situation getting out of it, because this is sounding very tricky. And wrapped up in here is a lie that the producers are indicating. So when I tell you to count the lies in this episode, this is what I'm talking about. There are little details here, and the devil is in the details, and you will need to watch this scene, I tell you, probably 2 or 3 times to really understand it, especially if you have any knowledge of buying a home or real estate in general, okay? in real time, in the scene, she cries with her brother about her marriage ending, and she was wondering if she's making a mistake. No, you're not making a mistake. If this man is lying to you about this house situation, now you have, if he is, then you have to wonder what else he's lying to you about in this marriage. Okay, girl, it's time to go. Speaking of lying, Robyn is trying to clean her brand new house, okay, and the house looks fabulous. Robyn, you did all this, and it looks amazing, okay? So it looks actually better than the foreclosed home that it keeps showing in every episode to me. So I feel like she upgraded. Let me upgrade you, okay? So she calls Juan into the kitchen to go through some old files, and they start talking about, the wedding and if they should explore getting a prenup. Juan is like, the fudge? What? Robyn is like, well, why you say that? Juan says, girl, do what you got to do. I make more money than you anyway. So the producers ask her, is that accurate? And Robyn says, he didn't say that. He said, I'll make more money than you anyway. And they run the tape back. Okay. And he said, I make more money than you anyway. So Robyn also lied. Okay. Either you lied or you got a short memory. But I feel like, girl, the indication has seen that you make more money. And I could have swore she said it in an earlier episode that she make more money, okay, than he's making, which I don't know why you would say that either. But, I feel like because you don't want to be giving that type of information out of way about, about your man, because, sometimes male egos, how they can be, right? So anyway, after that whole thing gets drawn out, he asked, well, why didn't you bring this up years ago? And apparently when he brought it up, she acted like she didn't want to do it. So then she says when they were going through their divorce, things got ugly. And then we learned from her that he was dating somebody else when they got divorced, and it got ugly. And he's trying to shut this conversation down. It was very interesting. I need to know more about what happened during this divorce. I want to know that story. Please, Robyn, open up the book and give us the details, because we keep getting these little bits and pieces over the years. Finally, let us in on what exactly happened, because I want to know. Because now, just like you told Mia that her putting out pieces of the information makes people curious, you are doing the same thing. Give us the details, girl. I want to know the timeline and everything that happened. Please and thank you. Andy, please make this a question at the reunion, because I am dying to know, okay? Just like she is forcing Mia to tell her what's going on the inside of her body, I want to know what was going on the inside of that divorce, okay? And only because she brought it up, period. So anyway, she says this, well, I don't want you to think because I got all these businesses that you're going to come after my money. I mean, what else would happen? I mean, that's why you get a prenup. Anyway, basically, he's like, girl, you can do whatever you want. I'll sign whatever you want. You can take whatever you want to have. I'm out. And he is deuces out of the scene. Wow, this episode. So then Wendy heads to the hair and skin place. The basic premise of the scene is she's her hair is thinning. She's losing some hair. She's stressed out. And she might have to take some minoxidil, which might make her grow some facial hair. I don't know. I do have a good friend of mine who is a trichologist who specializes in these types of things. And this is a very serious issue. And I will say, Wendy, that I think maybe you should just like myself, should probably start seeking some counseling for this idea that we need to be overworking ourselves and working so hard that we are pushing ourselves to the point of stress and losing, hair. Okay. Mia heads out to lunch with Robyn, and Robyn, the investigator, is like, Robyn, this episode was Robyn. Okay. And if I had known how good a Robyn-centered episode would be, I might have been requesting this a lot sooner, okay? Because this Robyn is a Robyn that I prefer. I want to see active Robyn. I want to see Robyn outside of Giselle. And this is the Robyn that I've been needing in my life, because this Robyn made this episode very good, okay? So anyway, she orders a pink champagne margarita. And I'm like, that sounds good. Anyway, Robyn wants to make sure that she and Mia are good, but she never really apologizes. Anyway, they agree that Giselle was in the wrong for, asking, is this what cancer looks like? Are you wearing cancer today? What season of cancer are you wearing? Anyway, Robyn wants to know what's really going on. She's confused because, the follow-up, the timeline, the biopsy, and all kinds of things. And basically, schools heard that when you post something on social media, the people gonna want to know, and they got a right to know because the door is now open. So then Robyn is like, well, tell me about the lump. Okay, where is it? How did they find it? What time of day was it found? Where exactly is it in your body? How big is it? How many centimeters? What day did you find it on? What was the hour? Who was there when you found it? Who saw it? What doctor did you go to? Give me the doctor's phone number so I can call and verify. And so anyway, Mia says that she may have an autoimmune disorder. So Robyn basically in her confessional says that I just feel like the story just blew up in Mia's face, okay? So then they talk about why Candiace left the building early. Robyn gives the backstory about Giselle and Chris, and then Mia says, well, girl, I have something to add. And so Mia says at the spring fling, she felt Chris staring her down, and it made her feel uncomfortable. But the flashback showed Chris looking in the opposite direction, okay? The flashback actually stated Chris not looking at Mia, okay? Mia thinks that maybe there's more to the story, and this puts Robyn in a tricky situation. This was bothersome to me because later on social media, Mia will kind of contradict what she said in the episode, and she apologizes to Candiace about it. In my opinion, I didn't really like that Mia said this because I feel like, number one, it goes back to the credibility that Robyn is questioning in this episode. And this is why also Wendy might have called her a liar because of an instance like this where it calls your credibility into question. And the other thing about it is it creates a situation that could be potentially I don't want to say dangerous, but it just puts Chris in an even further stickier situation because it now makes it look like he's doing this to doing something to another woman that's inappropriate when in fact he's not. And if he's not doing that, then to put that on him is wrong. It's wrong. And I just feel very strongly about that. So meanwhile, Giselle, now this is where things get really interesting, okay? So Giselle heads to Karen's house. They agree that they're making baby steps. Karen brings up that Giselle and Candiace had a moment. And the way Karen narrated what happened in that she felt like there was a boundary that maybe Chris crossed that he thought was comfortable, but Giselle did not think was comfortable. And we're going to talk about that. Karen agrees that Chris probably owes her an apology, but Karen also only heard about the discomfort part. There's two elements to this that really you have to look at when we're talking about this situation, and the devil is in the details. And I'm going to give it to you right now. The first thing is, as a man, okay, I think that this situation drives home the point that we as men have to be cognizant of our proximity to women or even maybe other men, okay, in general. And this situation also drives home a point that I've often thought, like even stepping into elevators or into small enclosed spaces with women that I don't know, because I don't want to in any way, shape, or form seem as though I may be any type of threat or anything, because I've gotten in elevators and I've seen at certain points in time certain types of women, clutch their purses closer to them, shrink to the side and stuff like that. So I'm aware of what the situation is. And it could have been that some creep at some point in time made this woman feel a certain type of way. Whatever the situation is, I cannot argue with someone's level of comfort. And so if Giselle has said simply that it made me uncomfortable, then that's one thing. Now, I do think that she should have said something about it earlier and not waited however many months later, but she claims that she was triggered by the Ashley thing. So as I speak about this as a man, it's hard to say, um, well, Giselle just goes after, the husbands, because that has seemed to be the pattern. In this situation, I think that I have to be careful how I talk about it, because I don't want to rule out a woman's level of comfort in that situation. What I can debate is her saying previously that she felt as though she says she's been around many married men have tried her, and that she felt like he was trying to see if she was with it insinuating that you are talking about some type of inappropriate actions behind his wife's back, because you claimed that he was complaining about his wife and he was trying to see if you were with it, and then you declared this man a sneaky link. So now we have two situations here that are being conflated. One is your level of uncomfortability, and then two, it wouldn't be conflating if you really felt like this. But the question is, did you really feel like this? Because this is the part that you're not telling Karen. That you told ROBYN that you felt like he was, if she was with it, that something might occur. That was the insinuation. You didn't also say that to Candace either. So that's the part of this that takes the story and adds an extra element of stank to it. And that's the element of the story that I have the biggest issue with. Because if you really felt like that, then you should really be screaming that at the top of your lungs. But the fact of the matter is, every time you tell the story, you basically say that nothing happened. Okay. But anyway, Giselle is thankful that Karen agrees with her. Meanwhile, Chris and Candace, they're about to meet ROBYN at a place called Allset. Allset is an amazing restaurant. They have amazing seafood. I'm gonna tell you, if you ever get a chance, go. All right. Before ROBYN arrives, though, Candace is upset because she's not responding, because she says that her doctors are saying that she's not responding, her body's not responding to the egg process the way that they were expecting. And I saw this confessional and I had to rewind, and I said, what in the little red riding hood is Candace wearing in this confessional? This cannot be the confessional. This, I was like, what is going? Now listen, I'm here for the experimentation of it all, but it was very much giving Little Red Riding Hood to me. And I can't unsee it. Okay. I cannot unsee it. Meanwhile, they get into how Chris is feeling about the situation, and he's shocked. And so then they have a joint confessional where he basically says that he's always trying to make people feel comfortable, but he also acknowledges you don't know what a person's been through in their past, but it is upsetting. He says that he asked Giselle, hey, can we talk? And that she said, well, let's go into my room. He's 99% sure that it was she who said, let's go into my room. And in my mind, I'm like, bro, now again, the devil is in the details. When you say that, you got to be 100% sure, because Giselle is going to say, as she said on Watch What Happens Live, she says that is a lie. As we are getting into how Chris feeling about this situation, and he's saying that back at Karen's house, Giselle says the complete opposite. She says that he asked her, can he talk to her, and can they go to her dressing room? So she opened the door and she realized her glam had left. In my mind, right then and there, let's talk in the hallway. Boom. Easy breezy, right? Wouldn't that have solved it? Glam is not here. Let's talk in the hallway, because you know. Okay. Simultaneously, he's telling Candace there's no one in the room, and he suggested that they leave the door open because he didn't want anyone else suggesting that anything happened. And she's like, and he says that she was like, yeah, I don't need any rumors like that going on about me either. Meanwhile, Giselle is telling Karen she was uncomfortable in a hotel room with a married man, and it's his word against mine what's happening in this room. Karen voiced what I was thinking this entire time as he was talking and as she was just saying that. How did we go from a conversation in the room to his word against mine, what's happening in the room? She says, you and Chris are friends. And Giselle agrees. Karen says, did he touch you? Giselle says, he did not touch me. Karen says, did anything that he said make you feel? She didn't finish. Giselle says, the fact that it was happening, I was saying to myself, I don't feel good. I want him to leave. Karen says, did you say that to him? Giselle says, I said, can you see if they're ready for me to come back or whatever? And Karen says, did he do it? And Giselle says, he immediately left. So then back to Candace and Chris. Chris admits that maybe she was uncomfortable, but I've never been anything but nice to her. But she references my clunker at every chance that she gets. For those of you guys who are new to the channel, when I say clunker, this is what I mean. And I think you know what I mean. I'm just not going to say it on YouTube. All right. And then we get flashbacks of Giselle referencing the clunker. All right. So then Karen says this was so crazy and nuanced. Like, y'all, if you did not watch this episode, go back and watch it now. So then Karen says, we got to be careful in this group. I had an experience with another husband in this group. He pulled me into a hug and squeezed her so tight that her breath went into her backbone. She says, that's uncomfortable. That's touching. And so she understands that Giselle was uncomfortable. She too was uncomfortable. And she says Giselle is justified in her feelings. Now, again, she is taught, from what I can see, Giselle has not said to her, I felt like he was trying to see if I was with it. I felt like he was a sneaky link. She's only talking about her discomfort. So Karen says she talked to her husband about the husband who was drunk, and that there were many witnesses who saw this, and she didn't think it warranted sounding the alarm. I'm like, who was it, Karen? Who was it? The producer says, then she says this was 3 years ago. So the producer says, can you share whose husband it is? Karen cackles and says no. Karen is smart. Karen gave us just enough tea to keep our cup dangling, waiting for her to pour whatever she's got in that tea kettle in it, but Karen does not do so. By process of elimination, I think I know who the husband might have allegedly been. But you guys tell me who you guys think it is. I'm going to wager a guess based on their dynamic that never seems to be very good. And that is all I will say, because that's a guess. Okay, I can only guess. But you guys let me know who you think the husband is and whose husband it might be. Meanwhile, Karen back in real time says Giselle says, oh, she says that, well, you could have said all this to Candace without the cameras. You didn't have to bring it to the entire group. Giselle says she didn't bring it to the entire group, you know, just the cameras that were where Candace was. Okay. Anyway, Karen says, who brought it to the group? Now, this is where things get interesting. Giselle says ROBYN brought it to the group. So I'm like, what? So then Karen says, well, ROBYN brought it to me, brought it to Mia with your story. How do you feel about that? Apparently, Giselle hasn't talked to ROBYN about that. So I'm assuming, I can only assume that after Mia's conversation with ROBYN, that Mia called Karen, told Karen what ROBYN said about Giselle confronting Candace. And so that is what she means. But the producers, y'all was so busy. I don't think y'all missed to clue us into that happening. But because y'all was so busy last night and y'all worked so hard, I'm gonna let y'all have that one. Okay. because you gave us so much. Okay. So at this point, the producer asks Karen if there are cracks in the Green Eye Bandits friendship. And Karen says yes, and everybody sees it. I'm like, now this is fascinating. Okay. Robyn and Giselle are throwing each other under the bus, and I am here for it. Because I'm here for it because it feels more truthful to the situation that's actually going on versus the two of them simply trying to protect each other. It seems to me like Robyn is fighting for what she feels like is right, and it's coming into conflict with what Giselle feels like is right for her. So meanwhile, back at Offset, Robyn does show up, and she actually has to pause before hugging Chris. If I were Chris, the lesson for me is I would not put myself in close proximity with any of these women ever again. I would not even initiate hugs with them. I wouldn't even give a handshake, because now any small interaction is going to be watched, viewed, and dissected, and it is not worth it, Chris. It's not worth it. I understand you might want to be trying to be friendly, but now you know what the boundary is. You got it. You can't do nothing but respect it. And for me, if I were you, I would stay away from it. I wouldn't even look them in the eye. Okay. As Mia said that Eddie would not do when Wendy was around. I wouldn't look them in the eye. I would not. Never again. No, sir. So anyway, Robyn realizes that they got to get straight into the point, and she says in her confessional that she disagrees with Giselle that he was being sneaky. And then Robyn recaps Ashley feeling some type of way about him, responding to her stories, um, and not technically sliding in her DMs. Then Giselle recalls the story after the reunion, and she brought it up to Robyn, so she has to tell Chris and Candace all of this, and he's confused because he's just always been genuinely trying to be nice. So then Chris says he waits for them to initiate hugs. He doesn't really try to initiate contact with them. And so Robyn says she doesn't know if Giselle brought it to the group to say, "Oh, I was uncomfortable," or not. And Candace says, "Well, no, that is how she brought it to the group." And Robyn, that's how she brought it to the group. She said she was uncomfortable. She said to you that she felt like he was a sneaky link, and that if she was with it, then he was trying to see if she would get down with it, because she has been around many a married men. She is the married man enticer. Okay, she's a dangerous woman to these married men. Okay, hide your husbands, because they can't control themselves around this woman. All right. Um, Candace says, "Well, that's how she brought it up." And she sat down, clutching her pearls when she talked to me. And Candace feels like it's BS, because at the spring fling, where was the discomfort when she was hugging him at the all throughout that party? So they question why she brought it up now. And Robyn says Giselle was triggered by the Ashley story and wonders how they can move forward. Candace says she feels like Giselle needs to walk it back, and until Giselle does, Giselle is dead to her. Okay. Back at Karen's, she asked, "Well, where do we go from here?" Giselle said it's been 7 days, and she thought that she was going to hear from Candace, who would say she talked to Chris, and he would say he's sorry, because for what he did for her, it made her feel uncomfortable. It was wrong to her. And if it wasn't wrong, she would not have felt it in her gut. Um, I got 3 words for y'all. It's a mess.